Move that little guy up to the side. Okay, so what we talked about, what we were going to do today is spend a lot of time in the accounting side of it. So, but what I do want to show you guys is the ability to take an order and release it to Cloud Suite. So it'll be a little bit different than what you guys are what you guys have seen, but I wanted to show you how it all flows. So I'm going to take this Billings West High School, and I've got a quote out there that I built, and I'm basically just going to add a job and create the job, and then Becky's going to take over. Becky's here. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
you
see
can't
her.
see me.
She's sort of like she's
Clint's-
hiding in the background.
Clint's
but she'll be-
background won't let me come into it.
It's a mess. Um, but anyway, so I'm going to just add a job. So it just normally like what fax does, you add a job, but it walks you through a few processes, right? So first of all, you pull in the customer, and we'll pull in ABC Supply as my trusty little
That's
demo
always
customer.
our favorite.
Yep, and then we'll pick a contact for ABC Supply. We'll just say that it's Larry Watson. And what kind of job is this? Basis of design. Again, you guys decide what kind of job types that you have available. We could put a reference in here. Maybe it's a special job number that your customer calls it. You can do that, and that will print on the sales order and the invoices, et cetera, et cetera. And then I've got an outside rep and an inside rep, so it's a little different than fax. You don't have to use both reps, but it does allow you to have two different reps that are assigned to the account at ABC Supply. Or we can have it come over from the project or from the quote. The warehouse came over as the default. The terms came over again from the customer. This is where I put in my customer PO number. And then I'll put in a primary purchase order number. Now, if I don't remember what that amount was, I can just flip back here and I see that my price is 136,000 and my cost is 115,000. So I can put in 136 and 115. The address already came over from the project. If I needed to make a changes here, I could. The taxing information came over. This is a non-taxable job, so the taxing information isn't that important. We do integrate with Avalara, by the way, so it can do all the taxing for you and do all your tax reporting if you choose to. Can be automated. Default ship to. So I can pick a ship to that this customer already has as a default, or if I don't put anything in here, it'll use the St. John's Avenue as the default ship to. And then I have third-party billing, 3PD is I think is what you guys call it, where you can bill somebody other than ABC Supply. Maybe you want to build the school system, or you want to build the county or something, somebody other than ABC Supply, but still give ABC Supply the credit for it. And then once I do that, I just hit the save button. And it starts out as a blank job, just like fax does. You can start from scratch. You don't have to have a quote. In this case, we do have a quote. So we have the option to import a quote, import a job from another job. We can import Excel files here. We can import PDF files from here. So if my vendor gave me a bunch of pricing and costing that I want to just pull into the system, I could do that. Customer purchase order numbers. This is where I could add additional purchase order numbers as my customer gives them to me. And then I will, but in this case, I have a quote that I'm going to bring in. So I'll pick the quote, and then it'll give me the option to pick that West High School. It pulls in all the lines. I can turn on or off the lines that I want, and then just import it in. So this is where my commissions are created. I'm not sure if you guys use the split commissions, but this created a record for the engineering credit for Barb Hutchinson, 50% of the billable amount or the commissionable amount, and the contract credit, which is the person who owns the contractor, gets a 50% here. Again, you can make changes here if you need to. You can change it to different splits, 5-way, 3-way, and you can name these whatever you want and put as many different splits as you want to in there. But it'll bring it over as the default for each category, and then you can change them as you need to. Are you guys using commissions in fax?
No, we don't do commission splits currently at Vemco,
Okay.
but it could be something in the future. So it's good to know that it's that easy. So
Yep. Pretty darn easy. Okay, so I've got my Lauren Cook category with the exhaust fans, and I'm going to go ahead and release this. Now, I can if I had Lauren Cook fans and I had Lauren Cook whatever else they sell, I could have multiple categories, and I can release multiple categories to the same sales order and the same purchase order if I choose to. So, in fact, how you have to move it to the right category in order to release it. In our system, in PJM, you can release them. You can release all of them if you wanted to put it on one order. But in this case, I'm going to separate it sort of just to make it more familiar. So I'll go to the release tab and I'll create my first release. And a release in our system is no more than creating a sales order. Now, in fact, you called it creating a purchase order. But in Cloud Suite, we actually create the sales order that creates the purchase order. So this first job release, I'm going to pick what I want on it. So I'm going to pull in the Lauren Cook exhaust fans as scheduled. Again, you guys might want to also bring in the Daikin air-cooled chillers if you wanted to. But in this case, again, I'm not going to bring those in. I'm just going to bring in the fans. And I'm going to go ahead and award it. That would be just like hitting the Create PO button. So it asked me, where's it going to ship? There's the address that came over. If I needed to make changes here, I could. Maybe I wanted to put a care of Billy or something like this on here. Maybe I wanted to do some shipping instructions on it also. If I had it coming into the warehouse, I can actually put dispositions on it where maybe I want to ship it complete or a tag and hold or a will call. Right, so I have different ways of doing that. I can also make it a different kind of order. So if I wanted to make it a blanket order or a lump sum billing, I could do that. Or I could use third-party billing at the order level versus at the entire job level. So I'm going to go ahead and award that. And that creates the order. And the original cost is $15,000. The original price is $17,700. The order number is 70 or 9010. And in a few seconds, the purchase order number will populate next. So if I wanted to print an acknowledgement and send it to my customer, I could. I think we talked also about having the customer portal, so they may not need acknowledgments. They can go to the portal. We can give them an update whenever it's ready, and they can go out and just take a look at it that way. Let me see if I can refresh this. And now I have a purchase order number. You can see the order status is in ordered status, and these are the lines that are in the order. So we could actually split off of these lines if we wanted to. So maybe, section number 1 shipped of the exhaust fans, we could split off of that $15,000. And let's say, $5,000 came in. I could create a second line on the fly for $5,000. It would subtract it out of the lot price and make that $10,000, and then adjust the selling price accordingly to the gross margin. So that's the first release, and I'm going to go ahead and add another release. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and release the Daikin model air-cooled systems. And again, I pick and choose which ones that I want to bring over. I go ahead and award it. Again, I have the same kind of information. I'll hit the award button. So it creates that second sales order. And then I can refresh it, and I should see a purchase order here in a second. And you can create once those purchase orders are created, you can put purchase order notes on here. So if you wanted to have, maybe you wanted to tell the accounting department something, right? And you can print that on the purchase order if you needed to. Same thing with sales order notes. So if you wanted to tell the AR clerk something about the sales order, you get the same kind of information, blah, 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 and you can print it right on the document if you wanted to, which would be the document would be the invoice. All right, so let's see if we can refresh that. So I do have an order number. It's 9011, and the PO is 5063. Now we can put initials in front of those PO numbers. So if I wanted to put the salesperson's initials in front of that, I can do that. But it does pull in the next purchase order number. It doesn't use the job number anymore like it used to. And I'm not sure why N4 wouldn't let us do that. I think it had to do something with SOX compliancy, where when things weren't in order, that it needed to be able to show a pattern if they were missing numbers, and everything had to be like lined up so you could go back and research on missing things. So that order came over, and then I have a stock order that's out there. And if I go back to my detail lines, you can see that I see how much has been released and how much has been billed to each one of these lines. And this one has not been released at all on these stock orders. So I've got a stock order with these two grills on here. Now, I know you're again, N4 had us make it where you could open up the entire job all on one screen. But if we wanted to go back and just look at the categories and see things lumped up in the category level, we can see that pretty quickly and easily. I can see how much has been released, how much is out there. But then in each one of these, I can drill into it and I can drill into it and see more lines if I wanted to go into the detail of it, or I can just open it all back up. And all this can be exported out to Excel, every one of these lines. And you can hide lines, you can move lines around, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so let's go back to my releases. I'm going to go ahead and release that stock order. Before I release that stock order, though, I want to look at the detail and make sure that these items are set to so they're set to direct ship. So these I actually want to come out of my warehouse as a default. So I'm going to turn off the direct ship, and I can either create a purchase order now, or I can let the buyer create the purchase order based on the buyer's control center, or I can just let it pull right out of stock. If it doesn't need it, it won't order it, right? So if it does need it, we can do it. So you have the option. How do you want to create a purchase order on the fly and have it ship it to your warehouse, or do you want to just pull it out of stock? And again, I have availability buttons, so I can drill into the availability of that item, and I can see how many I have in each warehouse, what my costs are. And again, you get the same kind of options where you can add other information that you want to see when you're doing these. So the idea is to give the information out. Give the information to the end user as they're creating these orders. So again, I'm going to go back to my stock order. I'll create a new line. I'll pull in my last two items, which are the two grills, and I'm going to award these. Hit award again to make sure all this information is correct. And that would create a sales order, 9012. So as we start processing this through, as things start to ship, as things partially ship, as things get split off from lines, all this stuff shows up into the system. So I want to, before I turn it over to Becky, I do want to take this first line, these exhaust fans, and demonstrate how we can split this line. So I have all kinds of options here where I can change the cost, I can change the price all the way up until it starts to actually bill. I can change the description, I can change how many are ordered with it, but I can also do things like split the order. So like I said, if I wanted to split this and maybe I wanted to go down here, and I'm going to say it's the first shipment. Or maybe it's the curbs or whatever. And we're going to do a lot. And on that lot, it's going to be $500. It will automatically set my unit price based on the margin of the first one, and I'll apply the split. So now I have two lines in here, one for $14.50 and then the other one for $500. So then I'll just sales order update that, and that will go update the ERP sales order, which updates the ERP purchase order automatically. So all this stuff is now sitting in the ERP. So all the analytics and all of the reporting is all there, whether you're in Cloud Suite, whether you're in PJM, or wherever you are. It's all built together. All right. Any questions on where we are so far? Any questions on the splitting? Does that make sense on how that worked? Okay. So, Becky, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, now I get to get on the camera. All right. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Becky.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right. So just a little background so you guys know. I don't know what Clint has told you or Bruce, but I actually came into facts on the fact side of things. So I was actually involved a little bit in your original implementation of facts with, I think her name was Charisse, maybe. Is that right? It's been a long time. Dan and Charisse, I think, is who we were dealing with. But so I know both systems. I just going to have to ask Taylor a couple questions as we go along on some of the things that you use, so I can make sure that I show you guys all the different things. Now I should have shared with Bruce the agenda. I use an agenda here that we use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out just talking about up here that I'm highlighted over where it says navigation menu. We call that the waffle. Okay, so that waffle is actually a menu where all the different things live. So Cloud Suite distribution lives under there, PJM, the document management. So everything, it's kind of like archive, but on steroids that you guys use. So in document management, everything that I print, like all copies of PIC tickets and shipping notices and checks, even if you have security, all these things get stored in the document management, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit. CSD analytics, that's where we're going to do we're going to spend a little bit of time there today to look at financial statements, just because it gives you more options and you can slice and dice and look at the data. And do you guys use Pro Decisions?
Yes,
Taylor,
we do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah,
so
we have the FRI plugin, if I understand
Perfect.
correctly, because I think that's a
That's my
plugin, and then
second
we also
question.
use the recaps and whatnot out of the Pro Decisions
Got it.
folders. So.
Perfect. Yep, that was my next question. If you had the FRI, so this CSD analytics will replace both of those, and between the analytics and then inside of Cloud Suite distribution itself, some of the stuff is just native to the ERP without the different add-ons, which both of those that you have are add-ons. But anyway, you can see more here. These are all the things. I think you guys looked at a service demo. So the service management modules here, process intelligence, that the AI. Focus is another business intelligence, and there's our PJM. And we've also loaded some documentation on here, some of the fast way to look for something. DPI's created a little DPI CSD documentation website that we make available. So I'm going to do a show less here. And then, so I want to talk about over here are workspaces, and these are really cool.
I've already gone
Have
through
you?
most of this stuff.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, let me just,
accounting.
but has Taylor seen it?
Probably not.
Okay. That's why I'm going to show her the AR Credit Manager workspace.
Yeah.
So this, you can tailor these workspaces. You can create your own. They come with some predefined ones, but this is, basically as a credit and collections manager or as an AR manager, all the things that I would do on a daily basis. So things that I want to know, I've got 3 customers that exceeded their credit limit, so I can review that and see who they are, and I can look to see if anybody's been put on hold, if I've got invoices that are disputed by customers. This is a new one. I'm not sure what's not highlighted there, but dunning letters. I could, on the fly here, send a dunning letter out to a customer as I'm doing collections. And it just basically gives you an overall accounts receivable view. And then there's different things. If you wanted to add sales order inquiries or anything like that, you can do that from here as well. So I've got credits on orders on hold that I can go look at to see if I need to release, credit alerts, and so on. Pending lockbox, and that's something that's a capability of this system that we didn't have in fax, which is the lockbox. So in coordinating with your bank, you can set it up so that all the checks would go to the bank and customer payments would go to the bank, and then your bank would send you an Excel spreadsheet of all the payments, and you import those so you don't have to apply the cash receipts. Really nice feature. Now it'll apply, if it has a situation where it can't apply, then it'll apply all the ones that it can and highlight in Excel the things that it could not, so that you can investigate. Or you can set up rules to say, if it doesn't match, put those on account. Anyway, all right, so I love these work centers. So what I'm going to do, Clint's actually already got Cloud Suite distribution open up here, so I'm just going to go in. So you've got the same multi-company capability, and I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And so it's telling me to clear my operators session because we're on the cloud. Huh?
I signed out wrong.
Oh,
That's all.
So I'm going to say okay. And it clears. If you were in something when you got out of Cloud Suite, it would bring you right back to it. If your internet went down or whatever, it goes right back to the place that it was. So talking a little bit about this menu. So over here on the right-hand side, I hate Clint's mouse. Let me find my mouse. There it is. Okay, so what we've got over here are different things. We've got widgets, which this whole side thing over here are what Infor calls their context apps, and different things live under here. You've got your smart help, which is the question mark. So anywhere inside of Cloud Suite, I can click on this smart help and pull up the online documentation. And then I've also got under the widgets here, I have the where my reports are stored, okay, for a period of time. And then ultimately they're going to be stored up into the document management, which I do want to go there real quick. And then just like you have in fax, I don't know if you guys use it or not, you have the ability to attach, whether it's a customer's resale certificate, tax exemption certificates, whatever information you want to attach into a customer file or a vendor file, and it can be loaded, through document management as well. All that resides in there. Okay, all right. And then it's got little messages and things like that. But anyway, so let me
center.
What's that?
Process those invoices through first.
Yes.
Let's process those through.
Okay. I just want to show them real quick. Document management. So document management is a wonderful tool. Now this is one. So I can global search for something. So again, like I was saying, if you have the ability to look at something, like I'm going to type in check, and I can look at AP checks. So I have the ability, in fact, if you screw up a check run, it's kind of painful, but this one's very nice. I can go in and I can reprint. It's stored in here. All the checks are stored. And again, it's all based on security, whether or not you can see it. And it stores those documents. Okay, so Clint created a check. And I mean, I literally can look at the printed check. Right. So this is the printed check for $273,299.99, and then the actual check itself. Okay, like a different logo on there. Clint added a special logo on there. Anyway, so that is the document management, and we'll come back to it. We'll print some things, and we'll come back and we'll look into. Okay, so. Here in Cloud Suite, I've got my Cloud Suite menu. So like fax, I mean, you guys might do like a CI for customer inquiry and things like that. We have the same kind of shortcuts. They're very big on this. Infor has the shortcuts, but everything you can go to it from the menu as well. Okay, so customers AR, vendors AP, sales is order entry, purchase is POs, general ledger, and so on. Okay, so what I'm going to start out doing is I'm going to do basically your buy resell, right? Okay, so you guys, Clint created some purchase orders and sales orders, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into vendor, and I'm going to go into entry, and I'm going to go into what's called the invoice center. So this is the AP invoice center. So right now in Fax, you start out with the customer's invoice, and Cloud Suite, you start out with the vendor's invoice, because that's what happens first, right? You get your manufacturer's invoice. Okay, so just like Fax, you have groups. Okay, so I'm going to use, because I've used it in the past, it remembered it. So I'm going to pick my group, and I'm going to enter this new invoice. Okay, so this screen, we actually reorganized it so that, which you have the ability to do with this personalize up here in the right-hand corner, on all the different screens, the purchase order number. So by putting in the purchase order number, it's going to automatically pull all the information, the vendor, the amount, and so on. Okay, so I think I jotted these down right. Glenn had a PO 5062, and it did find Lauren Cook. Okay, so the other thing we did is we put in a color the things that were required. Okay, so I have to have an invoice number. So I'm going to enter Lauren Cook's invoice number, and I have to have an amount. And I believe he said it was $500, but I'll leave it at 500. Well, maybe let's put 550. It's got a little variation. And it was July 14th. And the terms come over, and there's some other options here. We're not going to go through them, but this is basically a non-invoice check entry like you have in Fax, is immediate pay. And I hit save. Okay, so now I go over to the actual purchase order, and I have the detail. I'm going to save from there of the purchase order. Okay, so I can actually drill into, okay, so he did have, he left it at 15,000, I guess. I thought he'd changed it to 500. I guess that's the one he left. But anyway, so we're going to go drill into this, and I'm going to say that I got the five. I guess he combined them. This is where I can undo the one that I don't want to invoice right now. So this, I'm going to uncost it, and I'm just going to enter in the invoice for the $500 one. Okay. All right. So now I still have a PO costing difference of $50. So I look at my invoice and I say, oh, I know what that is. That is a freight charge. And the salesperson told me it's okay to that he's going to pay for that quick chip. So I'm going to enter this add-on, what's called an add-on. Okay, so you create all the different add-ons that you want, freight handling, overage, tariffs, whatever. So I'm going to say this is freight. All right. And it's $50. And I have the option whether or not I want to capitalize that into the cost of goods or not. So I'm going to capitalize it. And I hit save. Okay, so my goal was to get my PO costing to 0, and that's what I did. Okay. All right, so when I go back to the first part, so in my little hopper here, in my group, Becky, I have one invoice for Lauren Cook. So now I know I have another one. I've got a stack of invoices, so I just keep hitting new invoice, and I go to the next one. And this one was PO 5063. Oops, what I did there. And it was for Daikin. And I put in Daikin's very long invoice number. And the Daikin one was for, I think, right around $99,989. And we're going to say that was dated 7/5. I'm going to save it. And here I've got the ability to do some things with PO add-ons and discounts, but I'm just going to go straight to my purchase order line. And here I matched perfectly. My PO amount was $99,989, and so my PO costing is 0. Okay, so I'm good.
Can you go back a step? How are you getting to the PO section? Sorry, after you enter the invoice.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll drill into this one. Now this one, it's because I've already entered it, it went straight to the purchase order section. So it's basically 3 screens. So I can do like, let's do the 5062.
That's not an invoice. That's
No,
not a PO.
that's not PO. Let's try this one. I don't know how much it's for. It's for ABB, and we'll make it up. And we'll say that it's I have no clue, $100. So it was July 1st. So here I'm hitting save, and it goes to another screen, which is the header of the purchase order. So it says purchase order header, and there's not really anything that I necessarily need to change here. Now, if a salesperson accidentally, Daikin has, right, like you've got multiple Daikin accounts, right? So when he entered it, he put the wrong Daikin in there. So I have the ability to actually say, no, it wasn't that Daikin, it was this Daikin, so I can actually change it and push it through at this point. That's probably the best example of one that I would change here. Otherwise, I just hit save and it goes automatically. And then I have the ability here, I can look at my GL distribution, the PO, the add-ons, terms, and so on.
Okay. So it just auto-populates into the purchase order screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm out of balance here because I guess it was a 0 purchase order was the one. I just backed up to the last number. Who knows? And I apologize. Our demo data is just terrible. We should keep it.
But you can still drill into those POs from there, and you can change costs. You can
I could add that purchase.
Add things to it.
Correct.
Do whatever you add any kind of freight.
Right. So basically, what you have the ability to do, what Clint's saying there, Taylor, is that based on your thresholds, you have the ability to change the PO amount at the point of AP invoicing. Okay, so now that may not be an option based on, I just went ahead and deleted that one. That may not be an option based on your security or, again, the threshold. So you can establish a threshold to say, I don't allow the entry and changing of an AP document that's anything greater than 5%, or a dollar amount. So that can all be set up. It can be set up by vendor. It can be set up overall company wide. So it's a really nice feature as well. There's a lot of capability here that a lot of setup that you have to say, don't invoice anything if it's below a certain gross profit margin, So
or send out alerts. So it could automatically do that for you too.
Huge on the alert. So one of the things that I love, and we'll get to that. I don't want to run out, we're already behind with Clint going through his stuff, but your subsidiary ledger. So there's there's actually how many different sub ledgers? I've got them all written down here, but you've got one for direct inventory, which is, as well as your non-stock inventory, your stock inventory, your uninvoiced AP, and you get something new now. In fact, you had an uninvoiced AP, but in Cloud Suite, you had something called unmatched AP, because in today's world, the invoice gets here before the product does, right? So that's an unmatched AP. I have the invoice, but I don't have the goods yet. So uninvoiced AP that you have today in fax, I've got the goods, but I don't have the invoice. And then you got a balancing report for AP and AR as well. So what happens is we set up an alert, like Clint said. So if one of those go out of balance, it sends you an email to say, hey, your accounts receivable subledger doesn't match your general ledger. And that way you identify it on a daily basis instead of looking back and going, oh, why am I out this amount, looking, through 30 days worth of why you're out of balance. So that's a really cool feature. But those type of alerts we set up, and it can be overwhelming if you do too many. So, but some of the critical ones, what went into suspense? Why did it go into suspense? Which is, basically in fact, like a posting error. So anyway, all right, so I've entered my stack. I'm all done. I click here, it selects them all, and then I do what's called a final update. Okay, so here on the final update, I want it to go ahead and receive the direct order purchase orders. Okay. So usually I just send these to a file. We can send it to Clint's email too, which I can show you the report. So the thing that happens on this is it will show me what sales orders to invoice based on what I just updated here. Now, you're going to know anyway because we do what's called an order entry register, which is kind of like a daily sales register. They'll all be on there, but this is just kind of another quick little a little report. And then I say update the files, and I save that. And if my screen goes clear, I'm good. Okay, so now if it had an issue, it would list these up here with a stage or a process type where it had an issue and couldn't update.
And then you can drill into the issue.
And you can drill into it. Right. I'm going to do real quick.
I wanted to mention though while you're at it. So when she hit that DOPO, which we direct order purchase order, so it actually not only receives, but it also ships. So the sales order will already be shipped. So it's ready for billing at that point.
Right. Exactly. All right. So I'm just going to real quick enter an expense. So all manufacturers, anything that has a purchase order, they're what's called a trade invoice. All of your DPI invoices, your telephone bill, yada, yada, yada. Those are all what are called expenses. So, and again, super easy, except I skipped a required field. What was the invoice date? And I'm going to, what is today? Is today the 15th? Yeah, it is. I'm going to hit save. It shows me that it's going to computer expense. So that's good. And I'm going to update this one. Now this one, when I final update, I don't have to DOPO because I don't have any direct orders on it. It's not going to hurt it to leave it checked. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. What did I do? Well, I guess it thinks I still have some DOPOs. I guess I'm going to have to because I left it here. And we'll go, that's what I got because that's the Clint's email. And we can default these. It's just that I don't have it defaulted to Clint. Okay, so it updated that one. Now, real quick, I'm going to go look at those. So I'm going to use the shortcut this time. Now I can go back. I could close this if I'm done. If not, I could leave it open. I'm going to real quick. I'm going to use the quick lookup, accounts payable, inquire on a vendor. So it's AP, I is this third digit is always inquiry, and I'm going to inquire on a vendor. Or, anytime you just type anything in this box up here, it brings up every function in the system that has that. Like if I typed in maintain, it finds all of these things in here that have the word maintain in them. So it's a quick way to move around the system. But anyway, I'm going to go to API.
Until you learn the acronyms. You'll learn the acronyms just like in facts.
Just like in facts, yeah. And we kind of encourage them when we're doing some of the training. A lot of the training, again, I know when I invoice, I APECE, I OERR, and I OEEPI. Those are the 3 steps for me to invoice. That enters all my payables and then invoices the customers. Then it's 3 steps with 3 shortcuts.
But it is nice that you don't have to be upper, lower. You can type in whatever you know. If all you know is a piece of their name, like if she's looking for a vendor, she can type in the name, she can type in a number, she can type in their address or a phone number.
All Google search,
and it'll
right?
Pull up everything that matches whatever she's typing. So that is a huge, and that's everywhere within the system, even in that shortcut lookup, right? If you just know something,
right,
you can find it pretty easily.
So like right here, I typed in DAI for Daikin. And I'm going to go, and these are all, again, personalized. These screens can be personalized. So I want to look at all the transactions, for Daikin. And I have that one that I just entered. And then I have some other ones as well. Or this is the one I actually entered. Yeah, sorry, this was one from earlier. Sorry, it was 99,000. So, and I can filter through. The inquiry screens are wonderful. I can do from and to dates. I can do transaction types. I can do advanced searches, which are just amazing. You can basically use the searches as reporting in the system for a lot of things. It's amazing.
All of them can be pushed out to Excel, so you have all that data at your fingertips.
So I'm going to do another quick inquiry, and this time I'm going to do a purchase order inquiry on a purchase order. Okay. And I'm going to look at that purchase order 5063. There it is. And here you'll see it was entered, ordered, printed, acknowledged, pre-received, received, and costed. Okay, so like in the warehouse order, when I receive a warehouse order, it's only received, it waits for the invoice to be costed. So that's the process that it goes through. And it runs through these stages, and then it's closed because I have, that one was in full. And then, so here I can drill into where it is actually attached. Move that around. And there we go. There it is. Okay, so this was tied to sales order 9011. So I can click on the 9011, and we can see, like Clint said, I mean, that it that DO, by saying DOPO, it received the purchase order and it shipped it. So anything that's in a ship stage is ready to be invoiced. Okay, so I did my APECE. I looked at some of the inquiry screens. I'm going to close some of these. And now I'm going to actually go and run a report similar to what we run with the daily sales register. And I'm going to use the shortcut just for the sake of time. It's all in the menu. It's an order entry, which is sales, and R for reports. So the here I'm going to look at all the shipped orders. So I'm going to copy one time, and it goes automatically to viewer. So I've saved these templates to be what I wanted them to be. And I've already got the stage 3 in here, which means it's a shipped order. And I'm going to look at this report. Okay, so I open up the widget and I open my order entry, order register report. Okay, now it's not pretty, but it's all good information, and everything that I need is on here. The thing is that, with Cloud Suite, people say, well, why are the reports so ugly? Cloud Suite distribution is used like billion-dollar companies, like Graybar Canada. Carrier uses Cloud Suite distribution. So it is the ability to crunch a lot of data quickly. So that's kind of what, you see in some of the reportings. When I want pretty reports, I go to the analytics and I pull them from there. But here I've got all these invoices that need to be invoiced that's showing me on this report. Now, this is a lot. Again, like I say, I apologize for some of this demo data. I'm going to,
should be the one we just did.
Right. And on the bottoms are the ones we just did, which, you know what I didn't show you, which I wanted to show you how to invoice the warehouse order. Okay, also too. So let's close this, and I'm gonna quickly go. So the warehouse, or whoever in your organization, is going to do what's called shipping feedback. Okay, so I typed in shipping, and the shortcut's OEES, shipping feedback. And I'm going to do what's called a quick ship. So Clint did a warehouse order of 9012, and it's in a stage 1, which is just ordered. Okay. And I'm going to ship it. Okay. And so now it moved it to a stage 3, which is shipped. So it's ready to be invoiced as well.
You could have done line by line what shipped, what didn't ship.
Absolutely.
Mark it as you needed to if you hit the detail button versus just shipping it all.
Right. And I can unship it very quickly also by just clicking back in there. And I can unship it,
Ship it.
and it puts it back to the ordered shape. And what Clint wants to show you is this detail here, where I can see the line items of this if I wanted to double check.
So maybe
Or-
only 2 of the
Yeah.
3 were shipped. So one thing that CloudSuite would not let you do is over ship what you don't
You
have.
cannot go negative on inventory. That is not
So
allowed.
it's going to force you to fix it.
Right. That is one, I don't know if that's something, a practice that you guys
We're
have.
finding out a lot of Fax people are already doing it that way, but Fax allows
Some
you to
people, well, they
do it.
go negative, and
Yeah,
that is,
it's not a Gordon Graham thing.
yeah. So, anyway, Grant Howard. Yeah.
Well, I know. Old
Yeah,
school.
Old school. So now I'm going to run this real quick again. I'm going to copy one time and run this report.
And you can schedule all these reports. You don't necessarily have to run them. And remember, the report's not pretty. You know why? Because most of the CloudSuite people don't use this report. They do exceptions. So they set up their criteria and get alerted when something's wrong versus going through pages and pages of stuff that most of it's right and one little thing is wrong and what are the chances of missing it right versus letting the system look for what is wrong and letting you know immediately.
Okay, so I'm just going to invoice 10, 9010, 9010, 9011, and 9012. So I have the ability to say that I don't want to invoice everything. So what a lot of people do, like Clint was saying, they might before the end of the day run their OERR report, make sure that my gross margins are good, my sales tax good, everything's good, and then it invoices automatically for you. It runs the schedule in the middle of the night, and invoicing happens. And like Clint said, the exception would come in if it had a problem. You have what's an exception, invoicing exception. And it would show you something that didn't invoice for that day, that run date. So if it was from yesterday, I would run, put the 14th in here and it would show me, and it might say, hey, there was something on there that fell below your acceptable gross margin, please check, kind of thing. Anyway, so now I'm going to actually invoice. So I'm going to use the shortcut just to save time. And I could have, again, if I type in, invoice, actually, there's quite a few things in here that say invoice, but order entry, processing invoices. Okay. So again, we have the template set up. So I'm going to use this one, the default one, and I'm going to copy one time. And I'm going to send it to Clint's email so we can see it. And so we should have 2 invoices. So we have both the buy resale and the warehouse invoice loaded, Clint. Okay, great. So here I can say what orders I actually want to invoice. And that's what I'm going to do here because I don't want to do that 8 pages of invoices. So I'm going to do the 9010 and I'm going to add to list. I'm going to do the 9011. Add to list and the 9012. Add to list. Okay. And I'm going to save that. And here's different options. Basically, again, I've set up the template so that everything's where it should be. These are what actually email it to the customers. I have them set to no, and we do that in training. All the templates will be to no because we don't want to email your customers as we're testing through your system. So, and then we also can EDI out invoices. I don't know if you guys do any EDI or not. All right. Now, in Clint's email, help me out here, Clint. Where's your email?
Bottom.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take it a minute. But while we're actually, if it's not here quickly, what we can do is go
straight
look
in
at.
IDM. It'll all be
Yeah,
there.
exactly. I was going to say we'll go look at it in
Here
IDM.
they're coming in now. I hear them.
No. It always comes to the phone first.
Yeah.
Yeah. There they are. Okay, so the warehouse was 9012. So let's look at the buy resell.
So and the point to this is you could have different kinds of invoices based on the kind of invoice it is. So in this case, it's a buy resell, and we don't really go down to the detail of how many and quantities and back orders and all that. It just comes up with a line with a description and how much it was for.
And that's what Clint typed in PJM. Right? And then let's look at the 9012 is the warehouse order. And this one is going to show more detail. Quantity, back ordered, shipped, and so on.
Right. So we have the ability to put job names and numbers and things like that straight on these also.
So we're entering in all of the AP, and then the system here, we run the report, and it's going through and it's invoicing all of the AP that we've entered. Am I understanding that correctly?
As soon as you do the final update. Yeah, now they'll sit in that screen in that hopper, so some people may have, someone, there's in that screen, in that APECE screen, there's 3 dots on the right-hand side and most of all of your entry screens and inquiry screens where you could export that to Excel. So if you wanted to export that to Excel and send it to somebody for approval before the update is, or you don't have to give the person entering something the update capability, it could be only the AP supervisor can update it. So again, it's just a matter of, what procedure you guys want to go through. We can, let's see, where's your...
Okay, my next question is, we fat finger something like a document number or, the amount or whatnot. How easy is it to go back and fix it? Because right now, I mean, it's somewhat easy, but in other systems, like we have another company that we use QuickBooks through, and we can just go back into that transaction and we can just update the invoice number. Is it as simple as that, or maybe we'd entered the wrong invoice day?
No, unfortunately, it's not. It's going to be more like fax.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, it's a little bit more difficult than fax. Only because N4 is very, because like Clint was saying, with SOX compliance and they have a lot of publicly held companies that run on here, and they just don't like to change information on the fly, kind of thing. So you have to actually back out the wrong number and put the new number back in. I'm sad to say, but it is. It is.
So we've got to go in and we've got to credit the whole invoice and re-enter it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
So in fax, we have the option to just do like a document adjustment entry where we can just adjust the document, and Cloud Suite we cannot.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So to that point, is it easier to credit an invoice in here though?
It is AP or customer. Actually,
Either.
I feel it's either. I feel is easier. So, and there's a couple different things. So on the purchase order side now, because in fax you didn't have real purchase orders per se. So if it was tied to a purchase order, then I might need to do what's called an RA. It's just a return authorization that basically unreceives the purchase order. And then you would re-receive it, with the correct cost potentially. If, in other words, if you got to the point of entering AP and it was wrong and it was wrong enough to where it needed to be fixed and not something like on the fly like that, then that was how the PO would be fixed. And then on the AP side, it is the same kind of thing. And I'll show that one real quick. There's it's called my AP group. It's escaping me. I got RA on the brain. And it is Hey, there you go. Credit memo. So it's very easy. And I can do a miscellaneous credit. There's a lot of, I do have this reversal, which is nice. I can, at least I don't have to reverse the entire thing, but I have to back it out and then I cannot use that number again. So if I, for whatever reason, I needed to reverse it because the dollar amount was wrong. Then when I add it back in again, I might have to put the manufacturer's invoice number and put we encourage people to use like dash at the end, because then it still looks enough like, the manufacturer's number, so that when you're sending them the check stub or the ACH stub, they can still recognize that that was their invoice number. Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty easy. And I like I said, I speak from experience because I worked on fax for many, many years, and Infor made their decision to make this their go forward product. I mean, they still support fax, and they absolutely will still support fax, but they've made it clear that if you want artificial intelligence, you're going to have to do cloud suite distribution, those types of things. So, any other questions on good questions? On the AP for the invoicing.
But before you drill back in, I just wanted to drop back into the job for a second and refresh. I just wanted to show you that all the orders. Second, on the way out.
So is PJM, does that take place of the J&E screen?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So before in fax, you had your PJ, or you had your PM and you had your J&E, and now in Cloud Suite, it's just PJM and it's both of them all in one.
It does. It has a job manager, it has a project manager, and a quote manager all built into one. Right. Okay. So if I go into the job and we go into the releases, actually you can see here, you can see what's been billed so far and what's remaining to bill.
Okay. And
then you can go straight into the releases and see the status of each one of these as you're moving through them.
Okay. And when it comes to partial billing on like a full line, so we do have some salesmen that like on your 9011 here down at the bottom, that say that they just put in a lot of amount. So they put in a lot of 74.4, and we've only had $2,500 worth of material come in. Can we go in and adjust the sale cost on the invoice side that's not going to affect the job, so that it just partially bills that invoice or that line?
Yeah, it would be a split.
A split.
So like what we talked about on that first line, right? So I took the $550 and have it on one line, and we would only ship that first shipment, and then it would still have that left to go. But you can split it as many times as you want. So you have that lot, and then 5 of these shipped, 5 of these shipped, 10 of these shipped. So you just keep splitting off of it until you use up all the money.
Right. The original 17.
Change your descriptions, change your cost, change your price if you want to. Right. So all the way until it actually invoices the customer. And once it invoices, you have to use accounting to make any adjustments.
Okay. Right now we have SOPOs. Is that going to be non-existent? It's all going to be through a job then, and then we can do like the sales orders in this section here.
If they were part of a job, yes, you could do it here, right? You could have a miscellaneous job and do it that way. But I would just use Cloud Suite and go into order entry and do an order there. I mean, we're just talking about onesie twosie stock items, even drop ships that aren't part of a job, right?
Right.
So just go right into order entry. Just like fax has an order entry, Cloud Suite has its own order entry.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to use the job manager for that, but you could. Some people do, because it all tracks in there, right? And they can run reports. But that's the beauty of it all, because it's not separated anymore.
Right.
The only difference between a job order and a warehouse order is the type of order. So it combines it or separates it. You can see what you sold in buy resell. You can see what you sold in warehouse. You can see them combined together. Yeah, so it's a great way of being able to analyze data versus having the funky fax thing. I hate to say it,
Okay.
but it's a little funky because it's two different systems, right? In this, it's really just one
It's
system.
all done.
So Cloud Suite is the master system. PJM Cloud or Project Job Management is just creating orders and pushing it to Cloud Suite. That's all
Okay.
it is. It's calling them drop orders or warehouse orders. That's all it's doing.
Okay.
So it actually creates a ship to for every job. That's how you know if it was in a job. So you could run profitability out of the ERP based on the ship to alone. But again, we have our own reports within Job Manager that we can really drill down. What's expected to bill, what's left to bill. How much is the margin on certain time frames, and all that kind of stuff.
So to that point, if you were to add something in order entry without going through the job, would it then also show up in the job if you re-pulled up the job?
Yeah.
Afterwards, does it go backwards?
It does. So if you're in
Okay.
order entry, let's say somebody walks in the warehouse, as long as you use that job ship to, it'll write it back. And if you use the wrong ship to and 2 days later oops, I put the wrong ship to in it, Cloud Suite allows you to actually change the ship to or even change the customer of an order and be able
that's
to assign
fantastic.
it to a different customer and a different ship to. Oh, it's sweet.
Yeah.
And it will write it back.
Yeah.
If it sees it, it automatically goes back and pushes it back to the job.
So
That's
in
awesome.
instances we've had before, we've billed, a certain customer, and we've got our salesman come back and go, hey, actually this was an error on so and so's part. We need to send this invoice to a different customer. It's easy enough that we could just go back in there and we could just change the customer and send that exact same invoice to somebody else and not have to credit the whole thing and rewrite it.
If it's been invoiced, no.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I
Okay.
know. I see your teeth
Yeah.
grinding, but no.
Yeah.
So if as long as it hasn't been invoiced, but you can copy invoices into orders, so you can take that invoice, copy it to a new customer, and just and credit the other one.
Re-invoice it. Yeah, and you copy it to the credit, or it's called a correction.
Oh,
And
that's
then
right.
also you can copy both of them. So
Yeah.
at least the process is a little bit
Shorter.
smoother. Yeah,
Gotcha.
shorter. Yeah, but it's still a two-step process.
Yeah,
The credit,
still
the credit and the
credit.
rebill. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right. So I did want to just we looked at the PO. I just wanted to show you we kid about it. OEIO is the order inquiry. And I just want to look at the one that we did, like the 9011. And when we look at it, and again, the stages that it's moved through. So it was invoiced. We saw it because we got a copy of the invoice in our email. And then when the customer pays it, then it marks it paid. If you delete it, it keeps track of all deleted orders and it shows that it was canceled. Let's see what else we did. The vendor inquiry. Okay, let's do the customer inquiry. So I'm gonna pop into here, and I'm gonna use the shortcuts for the sake of time. I'm gonna do the customer inquiry, and I'm gonna look at this favorite customer of ours, ABC, and I'm going to they're a good customer. We let them have that much open AR. And the same kind of thing. So I've got the same kind of drill back capability that I have, where I can actually go to the invoice. I can go to the general ledger, to the journal. It's nice, in my opinion, because in fact, it's like you got to drill, and then you got to get to the GL posting. Here, I've got it, boom, it's right on the first screen. I can drill and go look and what I need to go see from, which I really like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to post some cash. So just like we went into AP ECE for accounts payable, I'm going to go to ARECE. Okay. I'm going to enter a cash receipt. And again, I could have typed in receipt and it would have pulled up all the words that said cash receipts. So here, I've got a check. I've got a stack of checks. Got them in out of the mail. I pick my payment type. Okay, so it does. Do you guys use SendPause today?
I don't
No.
think
Okay.
believe so. No.
We don't. We use our partner FIB partner Clover currently, and so we manually enter them as a deposit.
Sure. And you would do the same thing. You have that ability today to do the same thing. Okay. But this is a check, and I'm gonna say that it was I don't know, $15,000. And the check is for ABC, because that was our favorite. And it automatically, so I have the ability in the customer file, it defaults what bank that customer goes into, which may or not be something. Some people have a separate credit card bank. So if they always pay by credit card, then you may default in their customer record it to the credit card bank. So anyway, I go and I enter my amount. They owe me a lot of money. So I basically have the same kind of capability that I have in Fax. It's pretty straightforward. There's a couple of nice things, though, that you can do here that you cannot do in Fax. I can adjust sales tax from the cash receipt screen. Yay! And write off tax, and it'll write to the sales tax register. So that's a biggie. But as far as sorting the dollar amounts, I can do quick entry where I could key all my invoices in, off of the check stub and pay them. So I'm going to look at, I'm going to pay quick entry. When I enter it here, it just put those and then I just update them all at once, but I can do paid in full, and this is done right here. So on the left hand side, it shows me I had a $15,000 check. I've applied $13,000. I'm just going to randomly go into here and find some other dollar amounts. I've got $1,500 left. So I'm going to pay this one, and oops, wrong one. And I've got $364 left. So I'm going to pay this $362 one. Okay. So I have $1.42 left over. Okay. I don't know. They overpaid me $1.42. I'm not sure why they did, but they did. So all I do is I just hit finish. It knows that they have overpaid. So it's going to create an open credit on their account for $1.42. And I just hit OK. And then I move on to the next one. So I got my next check, and then I say check, and this one I'm going to go, who's one of my customers owes me some money? I looked beforehand. So I'm going to say I've got a $10,000 check here, and then it is general building systems. General building systems. And I'm going to hit next, pulls up their invoices. Same kind of thing. I'm just going to randomly pick up some dollar amounts here. So yeah, they owe me lots. We like to play with these demo data. So I'm going to pay this invoice. If I need to adjust, okay, I can change the apply amount to a different dollar amount. I can also pick up the discount if I need to, and I change everything right here on the grid, which is wonderful. And I have $2,169 left, so I will go to my next screen, and let's say we're going to pay that one. Yeah. I'm close. And I got the same situation where I've got $1.54. Now, here I have let me go back. Let me do let me find one that I don't think either one of these people get charged sales tax. So if it was if they short paid, now these are all overpay. So let me short pay something, and I'm pretty sure ABC is. I'm going to show you how to write off the sales tax. I'm not sure that they might be a not charge sales tax, but it may show it to me. So let me short pay invoice. I'm going to say paid in full. And I have short paid it, right? Oh no, I didn't. I overpaid. Need short pay. Here we go. That one. Okay. So now I have $77 that I did not pay. When I hit finish here, I get a different screen in terms of, oh no, sorry, my brain, I keep wanting it. I had $5,000. I paid that. I overpaid. I want to short pay one. So I want to go to this one. Take that one off. Now it's short pay. Now I get a different screen. Yeah, see, I can't be negative because they're not a sales tax. If it was sales tax, though, on the next screen, I get the option to pick, why it's being short paid and what I want to do with that write-off amount. Now, on a user by user basis is how much I can actually write off. So in terms of the AP or AR supervisor might have a higher dollar amount as to what, and I'm thinking that in my record here, I probably do not have the ability to write off that amount could be as well. So, but in my operator, I actually have what the dollar amount. So no, I do have the cash receipts write-off amount of $10,000. So I should have been able to write that off. I'm just thinking that particular customer doesn't have sales tax, so there was not anything that allowed me to write that off.
So in that instance, if they had, short paid us by 50 cents, how do we go in and we write that to the overshort?
Right. Yeah. From that last screen. So I obviously have something. Let me go back in here. So this is, let me do, it's the same screen as the on account, except it asks me what I want to do with that. So I have multiple, almost like facts with the adjustment codes where I say, oh, I want to write this off to sales or over short or freight or whatever. I create different codes as for the ability to write those off. So let me, I'm gonna cancel that. And I'm gonna go in here again. And let's do, here we go. Apply amount. Here we go. Now, so here I can decide, like you said, over short, what account. I don't really actually have an over short account here. Let's go sales tax. Here we go. Sales tax and how much I want to write off, $10.38. And yeah, I unfortunately, and here's the ones that as the default as the AR. So I do not have sales tax for this particular customer. But here I hit add and it gives me the option for the tax exempt. I don't think it's going to let me do that, but we can try it. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm not
Here.
There it is. Okay, finally. You see a little button popped up, said write all tax. So you can tell I do pre-sale support, not actually implementation. Actually, I do help with implementation with fax customers, but Jessie is our accounting guru. She worked actually as a controller on a company that had Cloud Suite many years ago. She's been with us about 7 years now. So, but anyway, so I closed it. Yeah, I don't want to. Let's get okay. Yeah, obviously it let me write it off, but I don't have the right dollar amount. I don't know what I've done, but anyway, I do have the ability to write that off. Yeah, I know. All right. So I'm going to close cash receipts and we're going to go into real quickly. I'm going to look at, like we were talking about when Clint was talking about the customer ship to setup. So our customer was ABC and our ship to was a school, right? Wasn't it? I think so. He's obviously loves the school. I don't remember which school it was. I think it was Billings West High School. So that was the job. So here is all of the jobs are stored into ship to file maintenance. And then we have a setting that says basically we make them inactive when it gets to 0. So, but here is all and then obviously the taxing information. So my customer ABC Supply is taxable, but Billings West High School is non-taxable. So I would change the taxing, by the actual job or ship to. Okay, and all right, so I'm going to run in here. There is I think I have something in here, a credit release. So here I can release all of these particular orders are on credit hold for various reasons. Okay, E means that it was an e-commerce order. And we probably have it set that all e-commerce orders have to be reviewed before they would actually be released into the system. This one, as we drill into it, it could be that it is over their credit limit. Okay. Then yes, so I have the ability to quickly approve all of those and release them off of credit hold. Okay. And let's refresh. At least this one page I did. Now that's the remainder ones. Okay. Like Clint was saying, though, a lot of the things are instead of running, a report, I would use these different release screens, credit release or exceptions and so on. Now I'm going to go into accounts payable and pay some bills. Okay, so we entered some bills. Now I'm going to pay some. So the process that we go through for, again, I'm going to use some of the shortcuts just for the sake of time. I'm going to run what's called a cash requirements report. And I'm just going to run the WM. I can run it without and just look at it at first if I want to. But I'm going to run through the process. So this is literally the process I would go to print a check. So I run my cash requirements report and I run it as a stored report. And I pretty much, I have different options here. I can take my discounts even though I'm not eligible for them. If I have any type of terms discounts, I can do cutoff dates. Again, a lot of different options. I'm going to pretty much do not pay it if they're credit balance. I can do just current. This one is all. We'll just do all so we can see some of the disputed invoices that are in here. And we're going to pay these through Bank 10. And we're going to come up with a list. It's probably going to be big. I might want to narrow that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow that down, kind of like I did with the invoices. I'm going to say list, and I'm going to pay price. I think these are ones I looked at earlier. I'm going to pay price because they have some things due. So I'm gonna pay them both of those. Those are small enough. I'll pay both of those. I'm gonna pay ABB, and
Screen right
this
here,
is
is this similar to the individual payment screen?
exactly. You're absolutely right. So the first screen, if I just let it run through, it would have been basically like payment selection by date, right? Where it had picked
Right.
everything that was due by
So
that date. That's
we
what
run
you would
them
do normally.
weekly. Yep.
Perfect. And you do the same process. So it's just that our demo data has so much stuff in here that if I
Right.
ran it straight open, it would try to tell me to spend, $5 million. And I don't really have $5 million to spend. But so I'm just individually picking them. And I wanted to show you. So these, when I said all, then, I'm able to see that these are disputed. That's a big one, dispute. So I'm going to pay this $6,000 one for ABB. Let's see. Yeah, I might as well pay the $600 one too. Okay. And who else do I have? Let's look at Greenhack. Let's get enough to where we've got a decent check run, So I'm just going to pay this one. This is from January. They probably want that money. All right, and so I think 3 is good. Although Marley, for some reason, I have Marley written down. I'm not sure why. Let's see what's on theirs. Oh, they just have 1. Anyway, okay, we'll do those. All right, so these are the 4 vendors that I said I want to write checks for. I save that, and I run through here. Next, and it asks me for a job number. Okay, so basically, I'm going to run these checks. So we always recommend, N4 recommends calling it something like check and the day, because I can have multiple check runs actually going at one time. Probably not something you would do, but I guess some companies do. So I'm going to make it 7:15 and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I go into this screen that allows me to edit that. Okay, so I pull up my job, which is the CK 0715. And these are all the ones that I put on the screen and told it to pay. Now I have the ability, assuming that I had selected the entire thing, I might not want to pay them all, and I can do something like, oh, okay, well, I don't really want to pay this $6,000 invoice, and I can go and I can say, do not pay that invoice. I can go up here and select this and say, oh, don't pay any of these. I screwed up. I selected too many of them, that kind of thing. Okay, so, but these are basically the ones that I'm going to pay. So on the right hand or the left hand side again, so it shows me, how much I'm going to spend in terms of this particular check run. And here it says save. We changed this, we personalize it to say run check, because the minute I hit this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to get paid. There's going to be a check written for these different companies, for ABB, Greenhack, Marley, and Price. Now, people say, well, I need my payment selection list. So what you have the ability to do is you can export the information out to Excel if you want to look at it and send it to someone to say, are these okay to pay, before I pull the trigger here and actually run the checks. Okay, I don't know where Clint's Excel went. But I'm going to run checks. Okay. And it will not let a check go to a viewer, but it will let it go to an email. So I'm going to send it to Clint's email. And I'm going to say, okay. So now, if I was to look, like I said, at that particular vendor, I think I wanted to do Marley because they just had one. And I look at Marley and I search and I go to transactions. It says that they have no open orders. Okay. So Fax calls them active or open and paid. CloudSuite calls them active or inactive. So here is the check that I just ran. It's check number 0, which means it's ready to, the check is ready to be printed, but has not been printed yet. And it shows that $3,000 invoice that we had. Okay. So now the one final step is that I go and I actually print that check. Okay. So I do the check print, and we set up templates for you. So you'll have one for ACHs, one for credit cards, one for checks, whatever the different ones. We do set them up. But this one I'm gonna do a different one. Jesse's got an ACH run sitting there, but I'm gonna do a new one time, and I'm gonna do it to email, and I'm gonna do Clint. So in Clint's email too, I will have the report that shows what I'm paying. At that point, though, I've already kind of paid them, so it's kind of that's yeah. At that point, I guess you've got a copy of what you're actually writing checks if you want to keep that payment selection list like a lot of people do. This is what's writing it to the document manager. Okay, so we hit next, and the journal is actually going to be into this program here. Actually, it's in Clint's email. My bad. Your email is down here. So I have to have the journal to actually print. I scroll down at the bottom and it gives me my journal number, 2361. So what's nice about that is I can rerun that journal 2361. If my printer jammed and the checks didn't print, it was offline, whatever, 2361, those checks can be printed again and again and again, different check numbers, but so I'm going to go print 2361. And here I put my beginning check number. I'm not really sure what it is, but I have this option here that says the check reconciliation bank, set up a bank. Do you want to use the next check number in the sequence? So I'm just going to leave that at yes and let that go through. Okay. Close this. And I'm going to hit next. See if there's anything I'm missing here. Now, for ACHs, I have this printer separate for remittance so that it will email them to tell them that you paid this ACH and what you paid and the amount. And they're separate sequence numbers. I don't know if you use the ACH in fax. So it does. It's very similar in that it's a separate, separate number, sequence number for ACH numbers. It is numerical, though. CloudSuite does not allow a lot of alpha, again, just because of certain capability where I can import things like lockbox. Check numbers have to be numeric. I'll just warn you that it has to be a numeric check number. You can use a reference number to put an ACH or a date or something like that in it. And I want to go to bank 10. The bank 1, and I hit next, and then I hit save. Now, and like Clint was saying too, at the point while we're waiting on it to come to his mail, it's going to go to cloud. It's going to go into document management right away. So we're going to look at it in there, like we did earlier. We did we went into the document manager. And here, and we went up on the top.
Let's go to my docs.
Yeah, the last one. It's on top, but I could have typed checks in here. And here's the check we just printed. One of the checks we just printed. And I'm going to display it.
That search also looks through everything, like you type in an invoice number or a
Yeah,
check
that's
number,
love. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, if you want to
whatever
see
you
the
want to
printed
find.
copy of the invoice,
And there is
you
an
go
app
in
for your
there.
phone too. So if your guys are out in the field and they need to pull something up real quick, they can get a copy of it on the fly quickly. They don't
Yeah.
have to call you about anything.
Okay. So there's our check to price. And it kept them all in the same check run, and that's your choice. You can actually have them put each check number as its own document, and that you guys decide how you want that. And particular demo it's set up so the whole check run is in there. Okay. It is a check change. We cannot use your fax checks.
Yeah, so don't order a bunch of new checks tomorrow. Or order
That's good to know.
limited amount.
Yeah, but like Clint was saying, that invoice that we did earlier, 9013, we can just search it. I lied. I guess it's not set up to store the, wasn't it 901? Oh, it was 9012. My bad. Okay. It is in there. There it is. So that's that invoice that we invoiced earlier. What the actual printed copy that the customer got. Love document manager. Love this document manager. Okay, so I'm gonna close my workspace. I'm gonna go back to Cloud Suite, and that was printing checks. Now we're on to General Ledger. Okay, so I'm gonna do a GLIA, General Ledger, inquire on an account, and I'm gonna look at let's look at sales.
We are a little bit over the time.
Sorry,
Are we
guys,
okay to keep going here?
We are,
You know,
yeah.
About
Yep.
5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, we're at the end here.
And on that note, real quick question before we continue
Sure.
on GLI. So, right now we have basically 3 different check number sequences when we look at a vendor in the system, so we can see if it's an ACH pretty clearly, or our check
Mhm.
numbers are a manual check, and usually starts with a 0, runs a different sequence. So it's pretty obvious whether we wrote a physical check, issued an ACH, or have a manual check just looking at the number in the system. You said that there's not alphabetic and it's more numeric. Is there a difference in the sequencing, or?
It's a different sequence now, and we can start it at whatever numbering sequence that you want. Now,
The different times.
I'm just wondering if we kind of lose that ability, if that makes sense, to where if we look at
No,
a
no, I
vendor
know.
and payment on
I
it.
know exactly what I know exactly what you can, first glance, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, ACHs
Now-
start with A, and then the physical check number versus the manual check number are 2 completely
So-
different sequences.
The thing that, I don't know if I have, let me look and see if I have one. Who would be one that, it would probably be Greenhack. Where it actually says ACH on the, let's go to inactive transactions. So here it would say check or ACH. So you would know how that it was paid. I don't know if it says manual check or
Federal filter.
yeah, let's look for type ACH. Let's see if we have, I don't know if we have any in
We
there.
may not have any.
But this filter row is lovely too. I have, like I was talking about it earlier, where I have the ability to search through information on inquiry screens. It does not show anything.
Okay, so the sequencing number maybe is less important because of the type filter then.
Type filter. The thing that
Accomplishes the same thing.
yeah, the thing I'm not sure is if it will say manual check or if it will just say check. So, but yeah, that one I'll have to get back to you on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world either, because right now, even the manual checks look like a check, but we can tell the difference based on the sequencing. And so if we can clearly distinguish between ACH and check, and then the manual check and the physical checks written have different sequencing, then we can kind of tell just by looking at that too. So
When you
Right.
can assign the check number
Good
on the
to
check number, right?
Yeah, you can assign a check number, right?
Well, that would help. That would save that.
Yeah,
You
where
put
they
your
could
manual
assign,
checks in an
they could
assignment.
assign their yeah, where it asked me the number where I said, could say next check number, I can assign that and say, no, don't use the next one in the sequencing. Then that would work. But I always have the ability, kind of like fax, if you've ever had to do it, Taylor, I don't know, where you've had to go back and change the, in the bank and change the check number or the next available check number. And it's the same kind
Yeah.
of thing in Cloud Suite. Yeah.
Question there. So the difference we have in our manual checks versus our physical copy checks is the bank that we write them out of. So we write all of our manual checks out of
well,
what
then,
we call
yeah.
bank O2. And so the sequencing runs different than, so is that still a possibility depending on
absolutely.
what bank we run out
Absolutely.
of?
Thank you. Yeah, that absolutely. Because when we defined what it put in that type. We call them ACH and check, right? That's just what we picked, DPI picked, because that's what they are. So if it's coming out of a different bank, that bank, when we create that template, right, Clint, we could use in the ion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could make it say manual check or CK. I don't know if we have enough space, but yeah, absolutely. It's coming out of a different bank. That will work.
Yeah, so we have all of our manual checks coming out of bank 2 and all of our physical checks come out of bank 1. And so that's how we can differentiate. We can see the different check sequence numbers because they're technically from a different bank account.
Great. That'll work. Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for bearing with us on those questions.
Oh yeah, no, they're good questions.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm just going to do a general ledger inquiry. Now, it functions a lot like the way that fax functions. If I know my account number, I can type it in. If I type a portion of it, I can find it. I'm going to go look at my sales of air distribution, and I'm going to close my filter row. So here, this balance history is when I'm balancing a control account. It will show me at the point what day it went out of balance on it and the amount that it went, and potentially the document depending on where it happened, how it went out of balance. But so here's an inquiry and here's the transactions. I do have a few. Okay, good. So I do have some transactions that we've ran through, and then the journals that they printed on. And the customer that it came from. Again, this would be, like in fax, how it assigns, it's very similar. It's just not in the sales journal. It's just in its own journal. And they're just sequential numbers, so the journal's literally just one right after the other. You'll see them as they close. Because it's not a batch system, everything updates automatically and creates a journal automatically. And it'll tell you on the bottom of the screen what the journal number was. When we looked at the report of what processed from the OEEPI, I think I had that go to Clint's emails, but it would tell me the journal number that's on there as well. The thing is, so I have no more registers. I have no more month end. Okay, because it is a transactional system. It closes on the last day of the month. Now, that does not mean that you can't back post. You can, based on your security code, back post and post information that you need to get done, because obviously stuff comes in later. But we set up it's kind of like a job stream, but it's not anything that you have to run. It just happens, and it emails you all the reports that you ask for it to be emailed to, or it stores them in the document manager, that we were just looking at earlier. So that's a good thing. The batch system, sometimes hard for people to get used to. So if I'm researching something and it came from accounts receivable, I might have to go look in accounts receivable module for that particular journal. the report itself if I wanted it. If I want the hard copy, some fax customers, at least initially, they will print a journal just like they had a register in fax, okay, and it gives them all the same information because I want to know the check number and the da 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 and blah blah and so on for AR AP. I can do it for purchase orders and all of that is available, if you want it. But like Clint said, a lot of it you can just you can get through the inquiry screens or the exception screens. The a journal entry is again pretty straightforward. I'll be honest with you, it's interesting in that you have to tell it if it's a debit or credit. It doesn't have a column, which really aggravated me in the beginning, So I can import from Excel just like I can with fax. I can do the same thing in AP, like where I don't know if you import now, like maybe your credit card statement or payroll or anything like that. Okay, you have that ability in fax, by the way, but
payroll we import, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And the same is available here. I can import the Excel spreadsheet as a journal entry. A lot of people will do their journal entries as in Excel and then just import them. But a journal entry is, I put in my account. I say that it's a debit, and I say it's $100,000. And here I'm going to say reclass to equipment, And then if I needed it, I have an extended reference. Okay. I save and new, and then now I can say sales of equipment. Now I could have typed equipment in there and found it as well. And this is a credit. And I don't have my nice little button that I can hit, so I have to type the dollar amount in there and save, and my debits have to equal my credits, I mean, it's still pretty straightforward, still pretty easy, and then I update, this transaction. So I'm going to, that's interesting. I have it. Clint, you don't have the ability to update journal entry.
I guess not.
I just did one earlier, so I'm not sure why you don't have that ability, but you don't. So I guess that's good. We don't want salespeople updating journal entries anyway, but it's update actions, and I have the option to run the report or not run the report. So that tells me that Clint doesn't have the authority to update a journal entry. So, and he doesn't.
Which I will be changing right after we get off this call.
So I'm going to delete it. He does have the ability to delete one. So, but anyway, financials. So financials are done through, and we loaded this up earlier, CSD Analytics. Okay. There is what I call a working financial statement out of Cloud Suite if you want to look at it. But these are the really nice ones. Okay. And they are easy to modify. So I don't know, Taylor, if you've ever tried to modify a financial statement in fax and you got to say it's a total line and it's this count to this account and you subtract this or add that, and it's very complicated, and Cloud Suite is no different. So, but what's nice is all my financials are loaded here into this CSD Analytics or Burst, and I can easily change those. Clint's quite the report master with this kind of stuff. He says when he retires, all he's going to do is write reports because he just loves it so much. So me, not so much. So I'll be like, Clint, fix this for me. So the first time you load CSD Analytics, it takes it a moment, which obviously we're going to see here, because you define how often it updates the information. And, probably, if you wanted to update right away, you can go run what's called orchestration and run it and update it. But usually we update it once a day, which is probably very similar to your Pro Decisions. And again, apologies.
So there might be certain data that you want to do every hour, certain data every 10 minutes,
Right.
And then other data once a day.
Yeah. So this is what the default screen is just an analysis screen with the pretty pictures. But when we want to go run our financial statement, we'll go down and we'll do a balance sheet. Okay. So here's our balance sheet. Now I have the filters set, or Clint has the filter set, I should say. Everybody's different with their login to 2023 because I know there's data in 2023 because our demo data is just horrid. But this is what
Which I'm working on.
I know.
I'm working on it.
We have our implementation consultant. I reached out to her today to have her update some of this information. So, this at any point in time, I go here and I can export it out to a PDF, to Excel, to a CSV, and that's the preferred way to.
These could all be scheduled to multiple people. So
Absolutely.
Every first of the month, it could go out to
Yeah.
all the people that you need it to, and filter it out like you want it. Only showing certain divisions or certain companies or certain pieces and parts of it.
Right. As you save the filters. But through here, that's the balance sheet. I have the income statement. And it, like I said, bad demo data. But that is how we print our financial statements. But you can see, so they have all kinds of different reports in here. This is your pretty trial balance. You've got your trial balance out of Cloud Suite as well, but this is and I can drill. So if I want to go here, and then it takes me in here and I can go to the transactions. So it drills back from the actual CSD analytics report back into Cloud Suite. As so it's got the similar to what you get in FRI as far as your drill back.
Yeah, anything that has a blue shortcut or a blue number like that, it'll drill back into. So if you wanted to drill back into the journal from here, or you go back to analytics, some of these reports have it where you can, like, even if you go to those graphs, go back to that graph that you did at the beginning. Change the general ledger trial balance to the analysis. So you can see if you highlight one of those columns and you drill into it, it'll take you into Cloud Suite, or it'll take you into another screen that filters it out how you have it set. Did you show them the filters too?
Yeah, I did. Well, so here, like Clint was saying, the multi-company, you can set up your different divisions, departments. I think.
Even if you wanted to look at this screen at just one division,
right.
You can set that. And all of these dashboards can be modified, and you can secure them down to who you want to see and only show them the data that you want them to see. So like managers for different offices, that you may want to only see a certain division, but to be able to see it, not necessarily be able to edit it, not be able to mess it up, but they can at least look at it and see where they are at any time. Yeah. It's all live.
Yeah, and they may not have access to come into CSD Analytics or Burst, but they can get the report via their email. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So that was a whole lot of information real fast. Were there any other general ledger questions you might have?
Yeah, one quick question I have. So, a common thing we run into is the month closes and there's an invoice or two that they come and tell me, hey, this needed to get posted back to, like in this example, it's July now and we wanted to post it back to June. Could I, with the way that this runs now, post an invoice back in June now that it's July and then rerun my AR aging so that it matches the GL?
Yes. And what you're going to want to use, so CSD aging does not.
There is an as of now.
Is there an as of now? Yeah, it had issues. There you could run the. We found that you've got the same, I went into general ledger, but you've also got, AR and you got an aging out of here, and some of these, in my opinion, are better, because they're based more on, potentially the invoice date versus period. But now Clint's saying that there was the option to print as of, but it did not print as of. So we've been printing them out of, to get around that, we've been printing them out of,
But Invoice fixed
CSD
that now.
analytics. And I guess apparently, and that's the thing, it gets updated monthly. So because you're on the cloud and everybody's on the same version, once a month, and they tell you ahead of time when the update's coming. And most of the time it doesn't affect you. You'll subscribe to what's coming, and they'll say, oh, hey, yeah, because I just got that. Now, dunning letters can be done from the workflow, and which I think is really cool. For people that have again whole credit departments that do credit
Maybe
collections.
the people who don't have credit departments can use the workflow to become your credit department.
Right. Yeah. But they'll tell you, and like that one, it popped up on the screen when I was looking at it, but it was not highlighted because I didn't turn it on. So they don't ever drop down something and just blow you up. It's like, here's what's coming. Do you like this? Do you want it? Here's how you go turn it on. So one of the things recently was back posting of invoices. How many periods could you go and who could do it? So now it's a security setting. How many periods can I go back and who has the ability to do it? I mean, because technically I could go post that thing in May if I wanted to. So yeah.
Question on that part.
Yeah.
Real quick. So if we do miss an invoice that was back from May, but we are just going to recognize it this quarter or this month, can we still set the receive date back but not have it post back that far?
Yes.
Or do we need to do an as of today, due upon receipt, and just pay it today?
So when it popped, that little journal popped up, so various things came up when you do any type of accounting function, the date of the invoice will have one thing, but it pops up a journal and it asks you the period and the date. So I can change that at that point, where as long as you have security clearance. And, basically out of the box, nobody has the ability to do that. So we selectively pick the people who can, because inevitably, like Clint said, I'm going to go, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go change that, So yeah, they tend to, more on the conservative side, and we would rather, give it to you than have to take it away when, kind of thing, and not know that people have the ability to do something they shouldn't be able to do. So.
Right, but there is no month end, by the way.
I just
I don't know
love
if anybody
that.
mentioned that, but
I did. I did say there's no month end.
Yeah,
We do
which
set
is
it up.
which is great.
Yeah. So it happens automatically. It rolls everything. It rolls the customer balances to previous month and so on. So it does that behind the scenes without having to run that job stream.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, my biggest thing is that, specifically AR and AP agings are things that the bank likes to look at. And so if it's as clean as possible and it matches the GL number without having to put notes on it, that's a huge bonus if we have to put something back to a month. So.
Yep.
And again, we do have the ability to build, analytic AR reports.
And we like these.
Base them off of different, dates versus what's in there, and it's constantly updated on the number we put in there.
Yeah.
I've built many of them. So
yeah, especially they're pretty for the bank.
Anyway, go down the other one.
Yeah. What's that?
Go down one to the aging.
Okay.
That aging detail.
I like these. Yeah. So we have a lot of ABC Supply has got, I think you saw earlier. we've got it's Infor gives us a demo that we can update information with, but we don't always download it because we've set things the way we like them and we don't want to. So then we have to go update our demo data.
So these, have certain days of different buckets, and you can build your own buckets. So if you wanted to do, instead of 30 to 59, you want to do 30 to 85, right? You can build your own and have it do the math behind it. So all of these fields have the ability to do what's that word that I use all the time? You can do expressions.
Expression.
Right. So, if it's this date between this time, put this dollar amount in there from this field. So it's pretty intuitive too. And there's full videos. If for some reason I'm busy and can't get right to you, or you want to get a head start and watch a little training video on how to use certain parts of the system, and there's full documentation on all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we didn't want to talk about, but before we DPI will even do any training with you guys have to go through what's called campus, and that comes as part of it. So there's a campus for each role that you have, so then, there's a controller campus. So the controller goes through and everybody goes through navigation, right? So all those little things I talked about, the widgets and the hamburger and this is the hamburger. This is the hamburger and this is the waffle. You go through, everybody goes through that, and then you would go through, if you're a PO receiving clerk, there's a section for that. And, again, they kind of define it out by job description, and they give you little tests, and, and you have to take the test and you have to pass the test. And then once you've taken them and passed them, we go, okay, you're ready for training now. So then you're going to be training with your data. So you'll train with their dummy data first.
Yes. So what was your overall impression, guys? How do you feel?